Sports anime are pretty cool. Nothing better than getting to live vicariously through high schoolers that have way more talent than I'll ever have. I consider myself to be pretty athletic, but no shot I'm pulling off these maneuvers at like 15 years old.
He's got documentation.
What makes sports anime so enjoyable, though, isn't the sports, it's the characters. These shows are basically a continuous training arc, so we get to grow and learn with the characters. We learn their backstory, what drives them, and get to view their development. The more we observe and learn, the more connection is established and we truly start to become fans of them or their team. The really great shows will even expand upon other teams, and you'll find yourself having to pick which one to root for. In as many sports anime as there is no studio that does it better than Production IG. We're talking Haikyuu, Kuroko no Basket, Run with the Wind, Diamond no Ace. These are all some of the highest rated sports animes, and they're all done by IG. Sure, their other stuff's pretty good, but when you see that they're hopping on a sports adaptation, it's probably gonna be a banger. But as good as Production IG is, the formula for sports animes are kinda repetitive. Obviously not every show, but ones focusing on that high school or university team, you can kinda guess what'll happen. You got the main character, who usually isn't the most fundamentally sound, but has some sort of incredible athletic ability. They join a team, probably one that has fallen from former glory, and look to help them make it to the tournament or win a championship. We focus a lot on the growth of the individuals and team as a whole, and that's where we get that great character development. However, we rarely explore outside of the team. I'm not saying you have to take a deep dive into each character's personal family life, but it does add another layer to the story that can be pretty powerful. Just take a look at the few episodes in Haikyuu where we got Suki's backstory with his brother. That shit was great, some of the most powerful scenes. I just wish we got more. The style that I mentioned for these school-based sports animes is tried and true. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love these types of shows, but anytime a story takes a different direction, I'm gonna be interested. In this season, not only have we gotten a sports anime created by Production IG, but we have one that tackles a lot of the lesser talked about matters in sports. It might be early to say, seeing how the show's not even halfway finished on its first season, but it has the potential of becoming the next big sports anime. Aoashi is a soccer anime. That one was for you, European audience.
Good morning, Glenn!
You really don't get too many football or soccer animes. Of course, everyone knows Captain Tsubasa, but no other title has really made a name for itself in the specific sport. Immediately, we're put into a game and see our main character, Aoashi, score his third goal of the game. Pretty impressive. Finally, we have an MC who knows the sport and is good and actually plays on... He just fucking Zidaned that man. Everyone is appalled except this man, who is clearly a French national team scout in disguise. Yeah, it's been a while since I've played soccer, but I'm pretty sure that's still not allowed. So his team ends up losing the game. So it's clear to see that he's a bit hot-headed, but he's also a complete ball hog. His focus is only on getting the ball and scoring, which, to be fair, is the job of a forward, but definitely creates a bit of an unlikable personality. But somehow, by some stretch of the imagination, the French spy actually turns out to be the head coach for the Tokyo City Esperion FC youth team and offers a tryout to Ashito. It's at this moment where Aoashi completely goes off the non-traditional route. At the same time Ashito is talking to the coach, the kid he headbutts shows up at his house. Turns out he knew his team would lose with Ashito out there, so he wanted to, rile him up a bit in hopes he'd crack and hit him. To do so, he calls him poor and basically infers that his mom is a prostitute.
Your mother's a whore! I told you that in confidence, Gary.
So honestly, fucking deserved. However, what he said was true. The poor part, that is. And I've been waiting so long to hear this. Not the bullying aspect, but I did mention this in my Pride of Orange video, that most animes seem to overlook the cost of sports. I know hockey's a more extreme example, but sports can cause immense financial strain. And since you're a kid, you can't legally work and pay for the expenses, so it's left onto your parent or guardian.
In the good old days, kids as young as 5 could work as they pleased. From textile factories to iron smelts.
You gotta make sure to cover all your bills, make sure your family has food on the table, so you can't always pay to play or have the newest equipment. Camps, travel, season fees, these are all expenses that you can expect to pay for sports. It's one of the most commendable things to see a parent save money and use any extra just to make sure their child can do what they love. Actually seeing the budgeting and calculations being made by Ashito's mother, and the realization that maybe she'll need to pick up another shift or will have to avoid any extra expenses is super real and super damn heartwarming to see. And it doesn't stop at just parents. We see Ashito's brother save up for a long time just to be able to send him to the tryouts because he knows how passionate he is and doesn't want to put any more financial stress on their mother. I remember when I was maybe like 9 or 10 years old, my brother actually bought me my first ever pair of real goalie pads for hockey. I'm pretty sure my parents could have afforded to do so as well, and would have, but it just shows the lengths people will go to support their family. With the money from his brother, Ashito is able to attend the tryouts in Tokyo. This is where we have our second main difference. This is a youth team, otherwise known as a travel or select team. 99% of the animes with school-age students are club sports. There's plenty of differences, but the main one is that you actually have to try out and make the travel team. In the club sports that they show, simply signing up for the sport gets you involved. Even in Pride of Orange, where there were tryouts, they had to just prove they weren't vegetables and they got to play. Reality is much more difficult than that. If you want to play at a high level competitively, you'll need to try out and compete for a limited number of roster spots. Aoashi is extremely accurate in the way they present this. Firstly, the tryouts are composed of 3 main groups of people: the junior team, invitees, and scouted players. Most select teams have a team for each age group. Once that team gets old enough to move into the next age group, they'll get to try out since they're already familiar within the system. Each team wants to be as good as possible, so they'll allow others to try out and compete against existing members. This includes scouted players. These are people that coaches have heard about and directly went to go watch before inviting them to camp or offering them a spot straight up. Bit of a, subtle flex, but I had been scouted when I was about 10 years old to play for the Michigan Wolves, which was one of the top soccer clubs in the state. I went to a few practices and was going to try out, but then I realized I didn't like soccer that much and transitioned most of my efforts to hockey. And I ended up going nowhere with either of them. Nice. Tryouts for these teams are going to be intense, and the people there aren't going to be all buddy-buddy with you.
Fuck it.
Players from the junior team aren't going to like the invitees and scouted players because they're competing for theirs and their teammates' spots. I love that shit though, it makes the whole process way more interesting. And I gotta tip my hat to Aoashi for not being afraid to just make characters hate each other out the gates. Like, fuck yeah, let's have a bit of adversity for the players and show them that this is the real deal. Them hating each other now is just setting this show up for some top tier development in the future. There's gonna be cliques within the team, that just kind of how it happens, but watching players eventually grow and gain trust of each other, even if they don't necessarily like the person, is what makes for a great team story. The biggest issue I have so far in the show is the main character, Ashito. He's simultaneously one of the most likable and unlikable characters. The dude has this blind confidence and is convinced that he's the second coming of Ronaldo. Like, literally, he actually says that. His only focus is on getting the ball and scoring, but he's subpar in almost every single aspect of soccer. Realistically, he's not making no damn select team. I'm sure people who have played sports have met that person who thought they were hot shit, but in reality they just smell like it. His selfish attitude and behavior makes it almost impossible for his teammates to like him. However, on the other hand, he is self-aware of his actions and his reasons for playing like that are quite commendable. He thinks scoring a lot of goals will be his best chance at going pro. He wants to be able to pay back his mom and brother for the money they've spent and make sure they never have to worry about finances ever again. That shit right there hits you in the feels. He's got so much love for his family and his only concern is using his talent to make sure they have a great life. Overall, I don't think Aoashi has started out as strong as a show like Haikyuu, but this anime shows a more accurate representation of what team sports are really like. You got Production IG's animation. Granted, the ball sometimes looks a little weird, but we haven't had too much game footage, but we're set up for success. I might start taking a look at more sports-focused animes because I love sports and actually feel like I'm somewhat qualified to talk about them because oddly enough, I've only seen like fucking 3. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support me further, my Patreon is in the description. You can get exclusive content, vote for the games I play on stream, Discord badges, or get a shout out at the end of videos like That Rat Murrow, Marshall Cox, Peppy Jewel, Jetstream Chad, Nicholas Gutierrez, Gooseker, Tech Rob, Shaky Pants, Chupa, and all. That's all I got for you guys this time. Hope to see you here again.